Please welcome our host, Program Committee Chair of RSA Conference, Dr. Hugh Thompson.
Right. Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for being here. How is RSA Conference going so far? All right, okay, good. You have many things going on right now at RSA Conference that you could choose to be at this moment, but I can tell you, you have chosen wisely by being right here in these seats. This is honestly one of my favorite programs inside of RSA Conference. So some of you may have been to Innovation Sandbox yesterday and in the morning. Oh, wow, cheer for Innovation Sandbox, which I thought was fantastic. And the goal of Innovation Sandbox is to get new upcoming companies that usually have gone through professional financing, they've got a product in the market, they've got customer traction, and you really get to see what is available on the market and where some of the innovation is. One of the things that we've tried to do as part of the innovation program at RSA Conference is how do we get even younger companies that aren't at that stage yet, but have fascinating ideas and amazing plans for great products. And that is the concept behind Launchpad. We have an open call for submissions, which we got many this year to participate in the program. Our judges, who I will introduce in a moment, have narrowed it down to 3 folks that you will see on this stage. They will have almost exactly, I'm pretty militant with it in Innovation Sandbox, but a little more liberal with it here, almost exactly 5 minutes to give their pitch. And think about this as an extended elevator pitch. What are they up to? What are they planning? What's the origin story? What's the product going to deliver? And then I will turn to our judges, who will have several minutes to ask questions of our contestants. They'll give answers and respond. And then I will go to each of the judges separately and ask them one question. Are you in? Now let me give a disclaimer to what does "are you in" mean. It means if they had gone and given this 5-minute pitch inside of a normal, hey, I got 5 minutes for you, what do you got? Would they take a second meeting and bring their team in and dig in more, and would they be excited to do that? So it's fun, it's interesting, amazing companies this year, and I think you are going to see how innovative this space really is. So incredibly excited to have the companies that we have. And first, I want to introduce to you our 3 terrific judges that represent amazing early stage venture companies. And so these are folks that are very seasoned professionals, and I'm so excited to have them. I thank you in advance for your participation. So first, I would like to welcome up on the stage Bob Ackerman, founder and managing director at Allegis Capital. Thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for being a part of it.
Good fun.
Our next judge, Emily Heath, general partner at CyberStarts. Emily. It's going to be fun. Thank you.
Ready to have fun.
And our final judge, very excited to have you, Arkin Kleinstein. Come on up. Managing partner at Globe Capital. Thank you. So first, let me ask you, before we bring our first participant up, what did you think of the crop of folks that submitted this year? Any kind of general comments, feedback? Bob, maybe I'll start with you.
Yeah, it was tough.
Okay, this is good. That's our job, is to make your life hard.
Right? We spend our time trying to find that needle in a haystack, with really early stage companies where you see a lot of potential. And it was tough. There was, it's encouraging to see it's not incremental. innovation, but people doing new things in new ways. And so, yeah, it was a good crop.
All right.
It was a varied a theme with AI companies or a theme with detection and response companies. They were across the board. But I agree, this was tough. And we all spent a lot of time reading, watching, listening. To get it down to 3 was actually a lot harder than you might think it was.
Yeah, I wanted more than 3.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
How
we
about we go
class?
6? Yeah.
Listen to and denied. Okay. All right, please.
I agree. I think that it was a very good sample of seed stage companies. And I can tell you that eventually when we ranked the companies, the differences between number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were not that big.
All right.
So the competition was
That's a
pretty
good
intensive.
sign. Okay, fantastic. Well, excited to bring our first contestant up to the stage. And I will begin by giving you the tagline of the company and then introducing our participant. So first up, building the home for cybersecurity collaboration, a noble mission. Please welcome Balance Theory co-founder and CEO, Greg Baker.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
being
having
part
me.
of it. I
Absolutely.
will pass along the power of the clicker.
Clicker in hand.
5 minutes. Your time begins now.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. So, cybersecurity, it's a team sport, public-private partnership, the ability to build a collective defense. This is what you hear across the industry today. But oftentimes we have to remember, to get there, we have to lead to true outcomes for the practitioners in the field and provide incentive for them to want to benefit from collaboration at scale. So our job here at Balance Theory and our mission is to do that, to build a home for cybersecurity collaboration and build incentive for the practitioners and the warriors in the field along the way, enabling them to solve true problems. And the way that we're helping solving problems is best described through the back of one of our design partners. So meet Wendy. Wendy's a cybersecurity leader, and her team's lives have never been more difficult than they are today. In order to build an end-to-end cybersecurity program that provides resilience for her organization, Wendy has to navigate dozens of disparate cybersecurity domains, projects, programs, moving parts, and technologies. In order for Wendy to pull together a unified vision for her organization, she has to navigate knowledge that lives across a variety of information silos. From cybersecurity point solutions, 70 to 140 on average today in the normal organization, information that lives in a variety of knowledge management silos, work tracking technology, collaboration technology. Wendy and her team are spending 32% of their time today on information management and collaboration. In order to align the business across business objectives and execute at scale, Wendy needs to find better ways to be more efficient and automate these processes end-to-end for her team. If you look across the industry, you'll understand that there's actually a missing system for the cybersecurity domain. So taking a step back and looking at the overall way that work management happens across an organization, there's foundational technology that we all use to power our businesses. Situational collaboration technology, it's actually the fastest growing SaaS category today. But what we're talking about with Balance Theory is domain-specific collaboration technology. When Wendy sits around the boardroom table and looks at her CRO, she gets jealous that she's able to pull together an integrated pattern that integrates with sales technology, situational and foundational technology that allows her reps to align and work together to achieve organizational goals, milestones, and outcomes. If you look at marketing teams, they have similar HR teams, software teams, design teams, finance teams. Have these domain-specific technologies that allow you to set milestones, manage work, collaborate, and automate together. And for a long time, security's had to deal on the back of PowerPoints, disparate spreadsheets, work tracking technologies, and pulling together and assembling information in order to move forward. So for us to drive unified collaboration, we're starting with the enterprise, and that's where Balance Theory fills the gap. So in the Balance Theory product line for enterprise, what we're able to do is create a collaborative work environment for Wendy and her team, one that's integrated with her cybersecurity point solutions, with her business applications, her work tracking technology and knowledge management solutions that bring together both the soft side of cybersecurity, plans, processes, procedures, frameworks, control development, to the true integration of the downstream users. So when her team is working inside of SIMs, EDRs, network detection technologies, or any net new innovation that might make the stage next year, her team's able to operationalize and stay in the technologies required to stop bad guys while keeping her source system of record required to build the end-to-end solution up to date and in real time. We do this on the back of world-class cybersecurity industry controls and a modular framework. We allow extensible asset types, but really what we do is we enable Wendy to broaden her ecosystem. As Wendy will tell you, it's not just the enterprise W-2s that build the overall collective defense for her organization. It's the partnerships she has with providers, the vendors, the MSSPs, consulting firms, systems integrators, and VARs that need day zero collaboration with their clients to not come in and do discovery for 6 months and 12 months, build custom and bespoke Power App-driven type of solutions that are expensive and hard to maintain. They want day zero, easy to integrate with, read into the domain, and start collaborating together to share real-world ideas, but also tangible knowledge assets and configurations, much more than just threat intelligence. And by doing so, Wendy's able to create and participate in her own community, where she can exchange ideas with the ISAC, but has a home base to bring back those solutions and operationalize them for her organization, and not just trade ideas around a conference floor table. This creates a defensible moat and also defines our go-to-market strategy by having these micro networks collaborating together with activity, partnership, and ongoing success. We're a been there, done that team, and we'd love for you to join us on Balance Theory at our invite-only, in our invite-only beta today. So thank you. My time's up. Sorry.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. Thanks. Great job, man. Appreciate it. Now to our judges. Questions?
I have a question, if I could. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? No? Mike? Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Okay, now we're
You're on, you're on.
I'm going to point my head that way so people can hear me. But first and foremost, I love what you're doing. Because there are not going to be less security tools, there's going to be more security tools. So unification, collaboration is going to be the key to efficiency because there's just too many. My question for you, however, is this is a double-edged sword. When you've got too many potential users for a solution, who's your buyer? Who are you selling to?
Yeah, so that, right now we see the market over. Can you guys hear me still? I'll answer your question and hopefully it picks up. So right now, as we showed with the three-prong kind of approach to it, enterprises are the gravitational force that will draw partners and also draw the broader community and operationalize it at scale. So in order to effectively collaborate, you need to have your house in order. So we kind of say that we're like the home edit for your cybersecurity program. I don't know if you've seen that show on Netflix, but they walk into a room and it's like a bombshell went off, and then at the end of the day, they have the organized cabinets labeled and all of those things, and stuff is findable again. So for us, if we can get the enterprise to that good steady state, we have a go-together model with the providers where we're working with channel partners, integrators today to build capability on the back end that not just helps them connect with their enterprise client, but also provide visibility in how they're delivering service, consistency. When they have to deal with attrition or turnover or net new service lines, it's very complicated to be able to deliver that at scale. So if we can start and solve with the enterprise and then build with the partners together, we can get there more collectively.
Can I have a follow-up quick?
Okay.
Follow-up question
quick
quickly.
follow-up.
So of the security community here, for those of you who may know me, I'm a former practitioner. I'm a former CISO. So you were selling to people like me. My teams all have very little budget. So I'm going to come back to the budget question. Whose wallet are you after in here? Which team? Whose wallet is going to buy this?
Yeah, so we're talking mainly, when you look at the statistics and the 32% of the time that the team's using on information management today, what we like to say is for less than the cost of a junior engineer, would you like to increase the efficiency of your overall team and return that time back to make them more effective? So we do think it's a play, and we've seen it resonate with our early design partners and early clients that we've converted to be a share of the CISO wallet that goes into kind of the bucket where you would normally have ticket management, knowledge management, and those components of it, but delivering much more value on top.
So security engineering is probably going to be your target audience.
Yeah, and operations.
Amazing. Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Other
So,
questions?
Greg, can you go a little bit further and just kind of play on this theme a little bit in terms of, in this environment today, CISOs, even though their budgets are somewhat insulated from the reality of an economic environment, they're still under a lot of pressure to get more bang for the buck. So when you sit down with that customer, and I think security engineering is where that conversation is taking place, walk me through how you help articulate the ROI.
Absolutely. So I talked through a couple of those points, but some other industry statistics, right? So when I talk to the CISO, the average turnover rate in cybersecurity right now is 28%. So I go to them and say, hey, what's the risk of 28% of your workforce leaving today? And the knowledge that they have in their heads, it's not documented, that's not captured, that's not operational, leaving the door. What would that set you back downtime-wise if you lost your key SIEM engineer, your key EDR engineer, and you had to replace and rebuild the work that they've already done? So that's one aspect of it. Having been on the consultancy and resale side also in previous lives, operationalizing the technology investments out of the gate. A lot of technology gets bought and then sits on the shelf for 6 to 12 months. So being able to say, hey, if we can better collaborate with your vendors, understand how it's integrating into the actual baseline, and get ahead with the day zero collaboration. So when the license hits, through procurement and hits your shelf, you're already off to the fences running. You know the integration patterns, you know how you're going to make it successful, and you know how you're going to operationalize it. So those are a couple of the key facets. There's more we could talk probably for a long time about it, Bob, but being able to quantify that in a true ROA calculation, I think is important. Cool.
How do you plan to keep your product updated with everything that goes on? Because you're going to integrate with many other products. Not always it's going to be easy. So we have like a product challenge here.
Yeah, no, it's challenging depending on specifically which cybersecurity company you're also working with also. There's some that have open APIs, more closed. So, as we go through and we work with our design partners, I won't say it's a perfect integration package, but we've been able to lead and find ways to build in those types of automations and also kind of bring your own two-click integration to the platform. And based on what you can do with different vendors and different domains, you'll have more limited capability. But ultimately, we're starting with the domains that are most prevalent, with the technologies that are highest priority and most pervasive, and starting to build the automation there to keep it in sync.
Okay, we'll hold it there. And now, imagine this gentleman has just been in the office of one of these folks. The large cedar doors close. I don't know, I'm just imagining. Very ornate.
They're oak, but that's okay.
Oak, okay, oak is fine. Oak is fine for this,
Can you pick
imaginative
me off the stage, by the way, if they give me the thumb down?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. You're safe. You're physically safe. So, doors close, and now there's a conversation that happens kind of behind the scenes, and maybe one of you is summarizing this to other colleagues. Emily, what feedback? This is a sneak peek. It's very rare to get direct feedback from the phone. Emily, what's your?
I think you're onto something. And like I said,
right.
I would want to have another conversation because, like I said at the beginning, there's not going to be less security tools, there's going to be more. Efficiency, as a CISO, as a former CISO, connecting the dots between teams was one of the hardest parts of my job. It's the efficiency that is needed to run a successful security program comes down to rigor and discipline in operations. And I think you're building something that's touching upon that. I think you have to get very clear on who your customer is and whose wallet share you're going to go for, because you're not a rip and replace. This is an additional tool. This is not something that you're going to replace and boot out for something else. So that means CISOs are going to spend more money, not less. So you have to get your ROI very well thought out and help people understand what value you have. But I believe you're onto something.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Emily, I think I already know the answer to this question, but I will ask you one simple question. Emily Heath, are you in?
We need to talk more.
All right.
Hey, I'll summarize that. I'll summarize that as yes. Bob Ackerman.
Absolutely. Again, this is a critical area. This is critical functionality. It's an open market, and I would love to hear more.
Eric Kleinstein, are you in?
Good news and bad news. The good news that yes, I'm in.
Okay.
The bad news,
Well,
the
that's
reason that
only
I'm
news.
in, because I already met a competitor, and I took a second meeting, and that company got funded.
Nice.
So
Cool.
So
here
you
you go.
okay, all right, just take the in. Take the in.
I'll take it in. I'll take it in.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you so
really,
much.
Really appreciate
Awesome.
it. Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well done.
It's a very nice judging panel. 3 ins on the first one. Okay, all right, okay. Now, our next contestant. Let's see. Intelligence security platform for blockchain. Please welcome co-founder and CEO of Guardrail, Sam Salusha. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for being a part of it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Here you go. Here's the power. Your time begins now.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. So let me start off by stating the obvious. Blockchain has a security problem. Just last year, we saw one hack every 1.3 days. And in the next 2 years, the cost of crypto crime is projected to reach 30 billion a year. The root of this problem is actually the lack of first-party security controls for blockchain development teams. These teams today do not have a SOC, an SIEM, a SOAR, and the lack of these solutions doesn't just affect the teams building these products, but it affects retail users like you and I investing in them, institutions putting institutional capital behind this, and insurance premiums. If you take a look at the options that these blockchain development teams have today, it's essentially expensive one-time audits that are connected by third parties. And while this can solve part of the problem, these audits can become quickly outdated and often result in these hacks being picked up by their own users or even them finding out directly on Twitter. When we dive a little bit deeper here, we realize not only do blockchain businesses have the same challenges that we've seen in Web 2, but they have a few new ones. For starters, code is open source, which means they can't hide behind access controls. Transactions are public, which means it's training data for both good and bad users. And additionally, within seconds of launching, they're taking on direct managing funds, not user data, but in fact, cold hard cash. As a security advisor for a DeFi project building Ethereum-based options, I felt this problem myself. We tried everything available off the shelf, from compliance to getting the best audits. And what I realized very quickly was these tools were so far away from what we've been building and using in the Web 2 world. I knew there had to be a better way, and that's why we started Guardrail, the first intelligent blockchain security platform. To begin with, at the core of Guardrail, it runs on 3 key pillars. First, it's data-driven, which is different from the subjective, audit-driven way that these teams are solving security today. We run our own blockchain node to correct signals on every single interaction in real time, whether it's a transfer, whether it's a transaction, whether it's an event. We then combine on-chain data with off-chain to create the first central data lake to be able to do analysis and correlation on that data, giving us a 360-degree view and a 24/7 continuous coverage. The second pillar is intelligent. When talking to our customers, we realized very quickly not all of them have security experts in-house. And meanwhile, they're extremely overwhelmed by all these hacks that are happening every single week. With Guardrail in the picture, we are able to continuously mine intelligence for hacks for them. We update that in the form of Guardrail's modules and push this proactively to these teams, giving them essentially a security researcher in-house right out of the box. The next pillar is our platform approach. We realized when we looked at all these hacks that attackers don't purely live on-chain. They start their attacks off-chain, off of off-chain infrastructure, using IP addresses and the traditional web stack. With our platform approach, we can plug into the best upstream signals and the best downstream actions to give teams an end-to-end threat mitigation platform, not another point product or another API score. Plugging all these together, we give teams the ability to monitor who is doing what on their application, detect when suspicious activities take place, investigate to go from open questions to answers quickly, and action to be able to save real dollars lost. In a case study we did, replaying Guardrail on a past hack, we noticed that we could actually pick up the exact exploit scenario 24 hours before it was weaponized on chain. We were able to save the team up to 190 million in funds lost with our faster response time, and we could also overall make the entire incident response move 24x faster. With teams we're talking to today, they're already telling us that we're able to give them essentially a full stack infrastructure without ever touching infrastructure, without building their own security team, and giving them what would have taken them a year to build within hours. Our key innovation that we're seeing teams very excited about when they're hopping on Guardrail today is our detection suite. Again, this is something that without Guardrail can be extremely tedious and is already either 4 or 5 different scripts or completely non-existent for a lot of our first customers. We're starting off solving this problem for decentralized finance applications in the Ethereum ecosystem, and we already have a roadmap spanning response, AI, and threat intelligence. In our short time that we've been around, we've locked in 3 paying customers on annual contracts. Some of them are pretty common household names. And while we're doing B2B founder-led sales today, we're in the conversations with our first few ecosystems, communities, and partnerships. Saving the best for last, our team has really been on the bleeding edge of data and security for the last decade. Just before this, we were building either high-performance systems in Bay Area tech companies or on the Wall Street. And being security advisors for blockchain companies, we've ourselves lived through this problem. We're lucky to be backed by some high signal investors and some of the top CISOs in this space. And we look forward to solving security for a space that really, really needs it. Thank you all for your time.
Great. Really appreciate it. Okay, the oak doors?
The oak doors.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, not cedar, okay. The oak doors are still open, and now, judges, you have the opportunity to ask questions. Please begin.
So look, I love what you're doing because you're really tackling the Achilles heel of blockchain. You know, there's a lot of demand to deploy blockchain-based models, but that security piece, as you pointed out, is, you know, we've transitioned from blockchain is secure to realizing, you know, blockchain is no more secure than anything else, and secure has to happen by design. So I love that you're tackling the Achilles heel, which actually will enable the expansion of blockchain. As you talk to customers, what is the level of awareness of the vulnerabilities? Because they have to acknowledge at some level there's a problem for you to provide a solution. So talk about that dynamic.
Absolutely. I think as we have all experienced, the blockchain space moves very quickly. So as very well, it's a great question. And as you pointed out, these teams are themselves keeping up with the latest technology that's relevant for their business and their consumers. They don't have the bandwidth to keep up with what's happening in the security stack, let alone kind of run and maintain their own with their own in-house talent. So to an extent, they know that this is one of the biggest problems on their docket. They have a budget allocated for it. But without the ability to really have somebody who's running it, it's very challenging for them to solve it. And the thing we hear consistently is we want to be able to respond and resolve these incidents, but it's hard to do when you don't even have the detection built in to know when they're happening. So when we enter this conversation, there's usually either some ad hoc scripting going on, or very often something that's on the docket that hasn't been addressed. So when we come in, it's usually extremely high conversion to a demo, and after the demo, it's extremely high willingness to try it out. And if we're able to kind of get them to value creation very quickly, then it's often a very convincing customer that we're able to bring on.
So I'm going to ask one follow-up. When you go through that demonstration and that trial process, where are the gaps? Based on customer experience, where do they find the gaps? Where do they, if only you could do this, and what about this?
Absolutely. I think as we've all been in the security space, we operate in this realm of known knowns, known unknowns, and unknown unknowns, right? And with a lot of our customers, it's the same story. They hear about hack A, B, and C, and they know they want to be protected against those scenarios. Today, our platform today is able to really well generalize both kind of to the attacker, to our customers' infrastructure, but also we give them a lot of hand-holding and templates. The continuous question is, do we know that this covers everything? And that's where our team is doing continuous research to kind of keep that completely up to date. So I would say, in terms of covering the fundamental use cases, we can today deliver a lot of value, but naturally it's on us to keep the team updated as the threat landscape evolves, that we are doing our homework to keep the platform updated too.
Eric? Emily?
I have a kind of follow-on question. And it comes a little bit to the education, right? Because this is a new space. It's not a traditional space for a lot of security teams. So I'm intrigued to know just how much education do you have to do? And is it really the CISO that's the buyer? Because oftentimes people have separate teams, separate engineering teams that run blockchain. It's not necessarily core within the security team. So tell me a little bit about the education that you might have to do, and is it really the CISO, or are there other buyers that are part of that team?
That's a really great question. And I would say, we're very lucky when we come to a potential customer and there's a CISO. Most often it's a CTO that's kind of the de facto owner of security. So absolutely, there is a realm of kind of education that comes along with that. The two ways that we tackle this today is, while we're obviously interfacing directly with the CTO for the budget, of course, there's the tech leads that end up being our core users. So really, we've built with them in mind as kind of the champions within the company as our users. And from them, we hear very directly a lot of open questions. And the thing we've been doing very quickly is iterating on the product to build their questions into an in-app kind of documentation. So a lot of the education we're able to do as part of onboarding and really building into the application. I will say that overall, as the space develops, they are looking for experts. And it's really great when we can do the research once and bring it to every single team, and we can kind of power those network effects. And that's where it's part of our responsibility is to keep the application up to date with the latest education and training. So where it's not in place, it's usually us filling that gap.
Yep.
How do you see the future of the category? Because it's a very fast-moving technology. How do you see yourselves 5 years from now?
Absolutely. I think the way that we're looking at this is, there's although there's a lot of applications being developed on the blockchain, a lot of them are pulling along a few different theses. Some people believe that blockchain should be the decentralized backend. Some people believe that it should be the decentralized compute. Some people believe it should just be a purely financial network. We're not here to pick winners. We recognize that each of those has its own threat model and its own security challenge that needs to be solved. So really, it's on us to, starting off with the decentralized finance teams to build and iterate our version 1 of the product. We're actively, as I was sharing, building in defense and AI to be able to kind of generalize to more of the broader use cases. So yeah, that's definitely the most exciting part of the roadmap for sure.
All right, fantastic. We'll have to leave it there. And now, the door, I can't even remember if the doors are open or closed, but the candid feedback. Bob.
Look, I think if you believe in blockchain, you have to have another conversation with you because, as I said, this is the Achilles heel. And until the Achilles heel is addressed, it's going to be a governor on the growth of blockchain adoption. So yeah, I'm absolutely in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm a huge believer in this movement, and it took me a while to jump on the blockchain wagon, I will admit. But I'm now on the wagon. I see it, and it's only going to get bigger, not smaller. So a few years from now, we'll all be talking about blockchain in even more depth. But I think for you, what I loved about the approach is your focus on detection and response and not just posture management, two very different things, because I think you've got great expansion opportunities if you're looking to do that. So exploring a conversation, absolutely.
Eric, are
So
you?
we would love to do a lot of brainstorming with you because there is a lot of thinking that needs to be done together for the future. Blockchain is here to stay. There are a lot of applications and fundamental technologies that we still don't know, but they're going to happen in the next decade. So definitely would love to continue the conversation.
3 yeses.
Thank you.
Wow, man. Congratulations. Thanks so much. Thanks
very much.
Part of it.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
You guys are really in a good mood today. This is
We're early
amazing.
stage investors.
Yeah.
You have to be in a
All
good
right.
mood.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Sure.
For our final contestant, I'd like to welcome up secure device authentication without static certificates. Please welcome co-founder and CEO of Quirks, Greg Colson. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Great to
The
be here.
power of
Well, I have the power.
5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate this, that you're here and you're interested in innovative cybersecurity, and I want to make this useful for you because today I want to talk about the bane of our cybersecurity existence and how Quirks is solving the problem. Static credentials, that's certificates and keys, are everywhere, and they cannot be secured. And once they're put in place, they last a long, long time. It's kind of like going to the opera with your in-laws. It just like goes on and on and on and on. They're hard to manage, and they're easy to steal, and that's why they are the root cause of most external data breaches today. At Quirks, we are focused on machine identity management, so authenticating devices to networks. And as it turns out, this threat surface is actually expanding more quickly than the user identity management space. This is something that, as you think about your own organizations, think about the number of resources that you're using to manage certificates today. So this is a folder that is growing. We've been pushing it uphill for a long time, and it's about to crush us. But the news isn't all bad. At Quirks, we have patented a way to secure devices to the network without static credentials. We call it Quirks Enterprise Secure Perimeter, QESP. Here's what we do. Every device on the network generates a temporary key. It authenticates itself to the network, and then the key disappears. And this process repeats itself continuously every 3 seconds, and the cycle repeats. You can think about it like Snapchat for device authentication. There's nothing static in our system, which means that we're not storing keys anywhere, and there's nothing to steal. Another benefit is that external attackers cannot handshake with devices on the network, so we're able to repulse those attacks at the network perimeter before they even can take place. We have designed our management console to be easy and intuitive for network administrators to set up networks, enroll devices, and deprovision them when needed, and to actively monitor the status of all authorized devices on the network. No new hardware needed. Yes, no new hardware. We play nicely with your existing security stack, and what's also nice is users won't even know it's running because it's quietly humming along in the background. This is lightweight and scalable to millions of endpoints, and we have successfully negotiated tens of millions of handshakes in our system. And there's a bonus. We've been assessed by an independent research organization as quantum proof. Yes, I said quantum proof. And why is that? That's because we generate our key material from chaotic information, not algorithms. No math. Sorry, NIST. The market that needs QESP is massive and growing. The global machine identity management space is expected to grow to $24 billion by 2027. We're ready to meet this market. We have in place a SaaS subscription model on a pay-per-device basis, and we're developing add-on products in our development pipeline, including a threat intelligence module we call Extract the Attack, where we can gather a lot of bad guy telemetry as they try to attack networks. And over time, that can be integrated with AI to provide more predictive intelligence. Our go-to-market is two-pronged, both direct B2B sales focused on the enterprise and also a robust channel partner pipeline that will give us additional reach and scale through MSPs and MSSPs. And right now we already have some commercial partnerships in progress in this vein. In the 2 years since we started, we have had a lot of progress. We had a R&D project with Los Alamos, 9 issued patents, 4 pending, and a pilot underway with a DevSecOps environment with our customer. Very deep bench, lots of security background and knowledge. The origin story is the OPM breach, where millions of security files were stolen from the US government. Huge national security disaster, which led us to really take a look at the root cause, which, as it turns out, was static credentials. So this is not just an incremental increase in cybersecurity. This is a breakthrough cyber weapon that will fundamentally change machine identity management and security now and into the future. And we look forward to joining with like-minded partners as we go forward. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Judges, questions?
Yes.
All right.
So who would you define as your ideal customer profile? Because it's a big problem,
Yes.
but it's not an easy drug to sell. So where would you start?
So a couple things to think about. So the reason for the direct sales initially, because of the scale and the stage of the company, those are people we can reach out and touch. They're friendlies, they're early adopters. Overall, believe the technical and potentially the economic buyer, depending on the structure of the organization, is the CISO. And that is for that reason that over time to scale this really scales through sales channel partners. So you can think about companies that have SIM tools, really north-south guys. We're the east-west guys. So we got us plus north-south. You have all points of the compass at that point. So we are really an add-on, and we can benefit cybersecurity solutions that are already extant in those organizations, because we realize we're not the only cybersecurity solution out there. And as we've talked to CISOs, we know it's difficult for them to take one more incremental tool and put it in the toolbox and manage it. So we've written the stack to be very easy and integratable, friendly open APIs, written in an accessible computer language, and so on. So really this does scale through the sales channel ultimately.
Environment question for you. Are you cloud first, cloud only, on-prem? Because a lot of the new technology is always cloud first, but again, wearing my former CISO hat here, it only solves half my problem. I guarantee people here in the audience also have a very large on-prem footprint. So we're still tackling some fundamental problems. So tell me a little bit about
Yeah,
the
so the answer is yes. Let me solve all your problems. So it's actually born in the
Sold.
cloud. Yes, started in the cloud. We have containerized it, so it can live on multiple OSs as well. So currently with the pilot we're running, we're instantiating it in the cloud, and we're enrolling their network devices in the DevSecOps environment. They're doing some very exciting things with AI and healthcare. They only want few people touching that environment, but they're happy with it being in the cloud. On-prem, you can imagine, let's say U.S. national security customer, certainly we can take that and put it on-prem as well, yes. So for hybrid environments will work.
So when you're walking into a customer and you've identified a point of pain, they acknowledge that they have that point of pain. But talk about the pain of adopting your solution, swapping out what they have and adopting your approach.
So no rip and replace.
Yep.
We've designed it to ride on the existing rails. This works at the transport layer, so you can think of it as like a dynamic TLS.
Okay.
Software only, no hardware needed. They don't need to add anything additional, and can run in multiple environments. So that's why I think with a sales strategy through channel partners, it makes it easier to adopt. A chief product officer came out of the identity management space. We have mercilessly ripped off their go-to-market strategy, except that we're now in device authentication. So that's why device in our case is really the unit of measure, and I think at a really nice price point as well. Thank you. Good question.
All right. The doors are mostly closed. Candid feedback. Eric.
I think it's a big problem. Definitely a very interesting solution. And I've started to invest in OT security 10 years ago. I would suggest that you'll focus on specific verticals, go to specific industries where the pain is the biggest, and also learn how to work with these industries that you focus on. So manufacturing, healthcare, government. I wouldn't suggest that you'll spread yourself too thin at the beginning.
Yeah.
And definitely would like to continue the conversation.
Okay. All right. Emily.
Well, I'm going to coin Eric's earlier comment that there's good and bad news. The good news is I'm such a believer in this space. I suppose it's good and bad news that we've also invested in a company that's still in stealth that's doing a very similar kind of thing. But this space we've been talking about identity for so long, but yet it's still one of the messiest parts of any security program. And I am absolutely 100% sold that machine identities are vastly overlooked by security teams. So there is room for lots of competition in this space because it is a very underrepresented space right now. And I am thrilled that we have a company like you who is looking to solve this problem because, again, as an operator, this was one of my biggest pain points. So congratulations. And of course I'd love to work with you more. But like I said, I have a competitor that is doing something similar.
It could have gone either way there at the end. So, but Emily's in. Okay, Bob.
Look, as Emily indicated, this is one of the big, hairy, gnarly problems. Massive amounts of investment have been made trying to solve this problem. We've made marginal, incremental process, still plenty of room. I would want to discover more about your thought process, but I really want to understand how you view the competitive environment because you're going to be a young startup company, vis-a-vis the established players, under-resourced. So it's how do you cut through the noise in this space would be where I'd want to go in the conversation. So.
All right.
Amazing.
Great.
All right.
Awesome
Thank
job.
you.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good stuff, good stuff.
And ladies and gentlemen, please, one more round of applause for our amazing contestant companies. Very, very impressive. And I can tell you, I don't think you can see this, but also incredible time management.
Very impressive.
Exactly 5 minutes, almost a second, every one of them. But I hope you enjoyed this. one of the things that is a core mission of RSA Conference is to nurture innovation. You're going to see it around you. If you hang out, for example, in this room later today, tomorrow, you're going to see other great examples of innovation. And also, I believe at 4:30 today, our early stage expo will open, and you'll see an amazing array of companies there. They've all got, very small, as you would expect, interesting booths, and they're right at the stage where you want to see what they're doing. They're incredibly diverse, interesting problems that they're working on, and I believe Cy Beer Ops kicks it off. So I'm not even going to comment on that, but I think beer is involved. So if you have any interest in beer or startups, this would be a good place to go. And again, thank you so much to our contestants. This was very competitive this year, and I think you can see it in the quality of the folks that came up and presented today. Thank you to our amazing judges. Round of applause. Really appreciate your time. And thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoy the rest of RSA Conference. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.